I've talked on this channel before about how narcissists can insult you in ways that cut you to the core. They can insult you in ways that just ring in your head for the rest of your life and take an enormous amount of time and effort to process and to overcome. They really know how to cut into your self-worth and really make you doubt yourself, really make you feel worthless. In today's video, I want to talk about why they actually do this, because I think it can be really helpful for those of us that are struggling with insults that have been hurled at us to understand where these insults actually came from and hopefully learn to stop internalizing them as part of our actual self-worth. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. What I'm going to do in this video is break down a multitude of reasons that narcissists will insult you, where these insults are actually coming from. But first, I think it might be helpful to talk a little bit about what it means to insult somebody. And the reason I think it's important to explore this a little bit is that narcissists are really good at insulting you and then gaslighting you and telling you things like, I'm just being honest, or I'm just trying to help. Wow, can't you take any criticism? Wow, you're really sensitive. When in reality, this is how they react to constructive criticism. But I think the line between constructive criticism and insults can be really blurry. It can be a real gray area sometimes. Obviously, if a narcissist says something to you like, you're stupid, you're ugly, you're lazy, these are obvious insults. It's easy to see that these are insults. But what if they say something to you like, I feel like you just never try. You never try to make me happy. Or I feel like you never listen to anything I say. Saying something like this to somebody could potentially be coming from a place of genuine concern. But what if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist and all you've ever tried to do is make them happy? All you've ever tried to do is listen to them, and now they're giving you constructive criticism about things that you've put all your effort into being the opposite of. The context of an insult is really, really important. And I think what's really important to understand is that it's not up to the insulter to decide whether or not you've been insulted. And this can go both ways because, heaven knows we've probably all tried to help a narcissist with genuine, authentic intentions. We've probably tried to suggest that they do X, Y, or Z, only to find that the slightest constructive criticism is taken as a huge, grave insult to the narcissist. So the narcissist can feel extremely insulted when we genuinely were just trying to help. And yet when it's reversed, when the narcissist is really just trying to hurt us or trying to vent their own frustrations, we of course feel insulted, and then they try to tell us that we're supposed to accept this as constructive criticism. And this can be really, really confusing to a victim of narcissistic abuse. So if you feel like you've been insulted and you want to create a boundary where you don't tolerate people saying certain things to you or criticizing you in certain ways, that is up to you. You have the right to tell somebody, I don't want to hear you criticize the way I brush my teeth. I don't want to hear you criticize my choice to go to this school or to this church. You have a right to put those boundaries in place. But a narcissist, when you try to tell them, hey, don't call me stupid, or any pushback on any kind of constructive criticisms that they're trying to give you, a narcissist will try to argue with you. And I think this can be a really good way for you to tell the difference between an insult and constructive criticism. An insult is done out of disrespect, and an insult is kind of like somebody throwing a rock at you. They're trying to hurt you, or they're trying to beat you down, or they're trying to make themselves feel better, and they're throwing a rock at you. It's meant to land and stay there. They're not looking for any kind of feedback or engagement or improvement from you. They're not looking for anything coming back from you. They're just throwing a rock at you. Constructive criticism is like throwing a ball at someone. You're trying to help. You want them to throw the ball back. You're inviting engagement. You're trying to change a situation for the better. When narcissists insult you, they are throwing rocks at you, and you will quickly learn that when you try to engage, when you try to explain why you're doing X, Y, or Z, or you try to tell them that you don't appreciate the way they've said something, they will argue with you. They will tell you they have the right to say whatever it was they said. They will tell you why you're wrong to try to put up these boundaries. And I think that's what makes these things insults. Also, I think that when a narcissist insults you, these insults are often extremely hurtful. They're very painful. They're very unfair. And I don't think constructive criticism is that painful. Although it can be painful to hear constructive criticism, it's usually not something that's going to ring in your head for the rest of your life. And one more thought is when somebody insults you, they are insulting who you are or who you are expressing yourself as. You know, they're insulting your personality, the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you do your hair, the way you look, the way you dress, the things you believe, your values, right? They're insulting who you are. They're saying that something's wrong with you, generally speaking. And when somebody is offering constructive criticism, they're suggesting that you change things you do, things that will benefit you, in their opinion, if you change. I think that's a big difference as well. Again, with the rock, if I'm telling you that your hair is ugly or your clothes look stupid, I'm throwing a rock at you. I'm not inviting any kind of engagement. I'm just saying, like, I don't like that thing about you. It's bad. Whereas with constructive criticism, like, hey, I think if you spent less money on whatever, you'd probably be able to save money a little bit better. I'm trying to help you. I'm not insulting who you are. I'm giving suggestions for things that you could do differently. Okay, so now that we've gotten that out of the way, and again, I think it's important because narcissists will try to convince you that their insults are valid and that they have a right to insult you and that they're not insulting you, they're just trying to help. And it is up to you to decide when you feel that you've been insulted, or when you feel like somebody's really trying to help, or when you feel like what they've said is helpful or hurtful. It's up to you to decide that, not them. So let's get into the meat of the video. Why do narcissists insult you? Why do they say such hurtful things that cut you to your core and make you feel about this tall? It's easy to assume, especially when you're an abuse victim and this is somebody that you trust and love, it's easy to assume that the things that they are saying are valid and that you really are whatever it is they say that you are, and that's why they're saying these things. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The first reason that narcissists will insult you is projection. Narcissists are extremely insecure people, and they have all kinds of horrible internalized beliefs about themselves. So maybe they think that they're stupid or they're lazy or they're ugly or whatever. And these feelings they have about themselves are so uncomfortable, so toxic. The only way they know how to deal with them is to project them. So if they think they're stupid, they're convinced that they're a really stupid person. Instead of dealing with that feeling and processing it, working through it, they will look outside of themselves and try to find proof that you're stupid, not them. So they will sit and look for proof. They will look for anything they can find that demonstrates that you're stupid. And once they find something, they'll jump all over it. Like, oh, look at the way you fold the laundry. Wow, you're really stupid. And it's really just all about them. It's really just all about the only way they know how to help themselves feel better about how stupid they feel that they are. And meanwhile, maybe you're stuck there thinking that they really think you're stupid because of the way you fold the laundry, when really they were desperately looking for anything they could use to point to you and say, oh, you're the stupid one, not me, when it's all just projection. The second reason that a narcissist will insult you is to control you. Narcissists will learn through trial and error with you, how to build you up, how to make you feel good about yourself. And in turn, this will teach them how to tear you down. They will figure out what it is you want to believe about yourself, what it is that makes you feel good about yourself, and then they'll use these things to tear you down and make you feel like dirt. And they do this so that you will look to them for your own self-esteem, because if they're the one that made you feel so good about yourself and then they took those compliments away, you know, maybe they told you that you were really smart and that made you feel really good about yourself, but then something happened and they said like, oh, maybe you're not as smart as I thought you were because you did X, Y, or Z. It's really easy to fall into the trap of trying to prove to them that you aren't stupid, you really are smart, because they took ownership of the authority to tell you how smart you were when they were building you up. And this is just a way to control you and keep you coming back to them for reassurance and for the regulation of your own self-worth. You'll be constantly chasing after their approval as if it means anything at all. Another way that they will control you with insults is to convince you that you're so horribly flawed that nobody else would ever put up with you, and that they are doing you a favor by just sticking around because you're just so obnoxious or so whatever they've convinced you. And this keeps you under their control because it makes you believe that you aren't worthy of anything better. And in that same vein, another way they control you with insults is to make you feel like you don't have the right to ask them for anything because you are so obnoxious, you're such a burden, you're so sensitive, you're so lazy, whatever, all these things that they convince you that you are. If you believe these things, then you are much less likely to feel like you have a right to ask them for a crumb of respect or to ask them for anything, really. And this gets them off the hook. This helps them avoid accountability. It discourages you from trying to talk about anything, trying to work anything out, because you don't feel like you have the right to ask them for anything or to confront them with anything, because they have beaten you down so far that you feel like you don't deserve the right to ask them for anything. Another reason that narcissists will insult you is to distract you from what they're doing and to distract you from what they believe about themselves. So going back to the projection, if a narcissist feels like they're really stupid, or they feel like they're ugly, or they feel like they're not good enough in whatever way, if they can convince you that you're the ugly, stupid one, you're going to be so wrapped up and busy in trying to either prove them wrong or trying to make yourself good enough that you're not going to notice how stupid and ugly they are. Even if you would never have thought that in a million years, it's their way of trying to distract you from noticing these things that they believe about themselves, even when those things aren't even true. And in addition to that, if they have you all busy and distracted and wrapped up in trying to redeem yourself, trying to be good enough for them, trying to fix these problems with you, then you're not going to notice all the horrible things they're doing to you. You're not going to notice how badly they're treating you, or all the lies they're telling, or whatever scheme they've got going. You're going to be too distracted dealing with how much their insults hurt and how much you're trying to make yourself better to notice what's going on with them. Another reason that narcissists will insult you is because they are genuinely disappointed in you. And narcissists will be genuinely disappointed with you, but this isn't because you're a failure. It isn't because you've done anything wrong. It's because narcissists have ridiculously impossible expectations. They hold you to standards that absolutely cannot be met, and they absolutely expect you to meet these standards. I think a good example would be maybe a parent that has a son, and they have this vision that their son is going to be a great football star. And it's just this fantasy they have. They have built the character in their head of who they expect their son to be. And when their son grows up to be an academic or something completely different, or somebody with no athletic skills, it's a huge disappointment because that wasn't what you were supposed to be. Another example might be a husband who marries a wife and he expects his wife to be a perfect homemaker and to keep the house perfect and to be the perfect hostess and to keep the garden beautiful and to keep herself up and to always look perfectly beautiful and to always have the children looking perfectly beautiful and the car perfectly washed, right? He's got this idea in his head of what his wife is supposed to be and the kind of person she's supposed to be. And when she isn't all those things perfectly, it's a huge disappointment because narcissists feel entitled to whatever ridiculous fantasy they had in their head. They feel entitled to what they wanted. Because if they wanted something, that means, in their mind, that means they had a right to have that. And you took that away from them. You took away what they had every right. You stole their dream from them by not being this perfect caricature that they made up in their head that they probably didn't even communicate to you. Narcissists don't see you as a human being. They see you as the potential of somebody who's going to fulfill the fantasy that's in their head, that's going to save the world, that's going to make them look good, that's going to impress their friends, that's going to make all their emotional problems go away, that's going to take the blame for everything while also fixing everything, that's going to shoulder the burden for all of the emotional problems that the narcissist doesn't want to face or address. And when you turn out to just be a human being with your own personality, your own needs, your own beliefs, your own dreams, that's really disappointing. And of course, they're going to insult you because whoever you are, whatever it is that you have become, whatever way you serve them, it's extremely unlikely that your abilities and your personal way of expressing who you are is going to line up and match perfectly with the fantasy that they had in their head of who you were supposed to be. So they're going to insult you. Like if you were their son and you were supposed to be a football star, you know, they're going to tell you that you're a huge disappointment. Whatever it is you are interested in is a waste of time. You're lazy, whatever. Because you're not matching up to their fantasy, not because there's anything wrong with who you are, but because you don't happen to be the fantasy in their head. Now, another reason that narcissists will insult you is simply because they're venting. They're just angry and they're just lashing out at anybody and anything that's in front of them. And it has nothing to do with you. And they might insult you personally, but it's just because they're in a bad mood. And narcissists are much more likely to do this because they don't have the empathy that most people have. They don't really care if they are ruining the relationship they have with you. They don't really care if they are causing you lifelong trauma by the things they're saying. They don't care how much it's hurting you because they just don't have that empathy. So I think we can all relate to this on some level when you think about maybe you've had days where you're in a really bad mood, you're super frustrated, you're feeling a little angry, maybe you're hangry, maybe you're tired, and everything is irritating you, and maybe your loved one does something that's a little irritating. I think we can all kind of relate to that moment where we feel like exasperated and we just want to like say something. But I think most of us either know, we have that filter where we know like, okay, I'm not going to actually say, and I don't want to hurt this person that I'm in a relationship with, even though I feel irritated and angry and ornery. I'm going to control myself because I don't want to hurt this person and I don't want to damage our relationship. And I think when we've been in these situations, even if we lose control a little and we say something we regret, we're immediately going to regret saying that. We're going to try to apologize. We're going to try to make amends. Narcissists don't have this filter. They do not care if they've hurt you by what they've said. And when a narcissist feels angry or irritated or ornery, they imagine that it's your fault. They project their feelings out onto the external world. If they feel angry, ornery, frustrated, they don't have any concept of the reality that it's coming from inside them, that it's a them problem. They really believe that these feelings are an indication of what's going on outside of them. They really believe that you're the one making them angry. You're the one that's frustrating them. Even if they can't tell you why, even if it doesn't make any sense, they believe that first, and then they will look for evidence because that's what their feelings are telling them. So if they're feeling frustrated and angry and ornery, they feel like they have a right to lash out at you and insult you. They don't have this filter that most people have because they believe that you are doing this to them. So you deserve to be insulted. You deserve to be lashed out at. And on top of this lack of empathy and this imagination they have that you're causing these feelings they have, they also feel entitled. They have an extreme pathological sense of entitlement. If they want to yell at you, if they want to call you names, they have a right to do that in their mind, and you don't have any right to tell them what to do. Even if what they're doing is hurting you and harming you, they don't have any empathy for that. They don't care. So when they insult you, when they hurt you, and you try to push back on that, they're not thinking about how it's affecting you because they don't think about how anything affects you. All they see, all they feel is that you're trying to tell them what to do. You're trying to control them. You're insulting them. And that's why, like I said in the beginning of the video when I talked about the difference between insults and constructive criticism, when a narcissist insults you, there's no room for feedback. They absolutely will not listen to any kind of feedback you have because any feedback you have is probably going to be critical of the way that they've hurt you. And they don't think you have a right to push back on what they feel they're entitled to say and express. And when we look at all these reasons that narcissists will insult you, I think the theme that we really should pay attention to is that none of these reasons have anything to do with you. They've got nothing to do with how aggravating you are or what a burden you are or how stupid you are, anything to do with you. You're just a human being. You are just a human being who isn't perfect because nobody's perfect. And a narcissist will find those imperfections and they will dig into them and they will make you feel like you deserve to be ground into the dirt. You deserve these rocks thrown at you because of the imperfections that you have, that everyone has. You don't deserve to be insulted like this. You don't deserve to have someone in your life say things to you that hurt you and to have that person be absolutely rigidly resistant to your feedback. To have that person tell you that you're wrong for feeling hurt and you don't have a right to put boundaries down. Even if the insults that they're hurling at you have seeds of truth to them, which they often do. Often these insults have seeds of truth, which make us feel like we deserve this, like they have a point, they're right. No, they don't have a point. These seeds of truth that some of these insults have are simply your imperfections. We all have imperfections. I've said this before, you can find anyone in the whole entire world, the most wonderful, giving, loving, amazing person in the whole world, and you can find that person's imperfections and you can focus on them and you can start telling that whatever those imperfections are, you can start telling that person that they deserve to be beaten down. They deserve to feel like garbage because of those imperfections. No one on earth is free of those imperfections. We all have them, and you don't deserve to be cut down, beat down, and have rocks thrown at you because of what your imperfections happen to be. So even when there's seeds of truth in these insults, you deserve to be with people who respect you, who care if they've hurt you, and who will only offer criticism or stand behind the criticisms they offer when they truly feel that they're helping you be a better person. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.